Okay.
I just want to be on the understanding and very clear, just as what the Save the Band was, and not doubting any donors. The Save the Band, they were able to present to the board, almost on a daily basis, whether it was anonymous or not, where they were at, what they were looking at. And, I think where some of the board members are coming from as well is we're not in a position to sign a contract without having that money, because you wouldn't be raising this money if we had it in the accounts to do this.
Right.
And if something fell through and some anonymous donor just didn't give a check by a day that we need it, we're the ones that have to sign the contract with the contractors. That all goes through our insurance, our legalities. So if somebody moves out of town, is on vacation, whatever the sake, we have no proof of that. It's hard for the board to move forward and approve the signing of a contract without those funds there. I think that's the biggest concern that I have at the moment, is we can't sign without that money there. The same way that we couldn't say, yes, the band is in next year without the Save the Band group coming forward with their donation. So that's kind of the security I'm looking for, is we can't sign until those funds are already there. And the way that the board has responded with the previous group, with the Save the Band, that money's sitting there. We took that on under the agreement that that's where that money's going. So I hope that can be stressed to the donor, that we just did it with one group, are willing to do it with that, because we cannot cover if something goes wrong.
I'll have someone call you next week, Dr. O'Malley. That way you'll know for sure that a certain amount of money that is coming from a certain amount. You'll know. I can't say how much or what it is right now, because it's not all coming from one person.
Correct. Yeah.
So, and that's one of the reasons why we worded the motion the way we did, and we added that piece to the end of it. So, to kind of just to be clear that the motion will be approved based on the funding from that. So, if there's no funding, then the motion is kind of squashed. So based on that, need a motion to approve STR process with design and safety and security measures for Lee School not to exceed $6,300, funded by the Norwich Schools Foundation.
I will make the motion.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bellafiore,
Yes.
Mr. Biondo,
Yes.
Mr. Ludston,
Yes.
Mr. Radosevich,
Yes.
Mr. Stoffel.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion
passes.
approved, the SDR process for the design and safety and security measures for Lee Elementary School not to exceed $6,300, funded by the Norwich Educational Foundation. Thank you, guys.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen.
Okay, thank you, Alan.
Next is our special ed presentation. Mrs. Hanson.
Okay, looks like my laptop went to sleep,
Sleep.
so let me just bring that back to life. Let's check out the contrast looked okay. I think we're okay. I need a password. Principal Palmer. While she's logging me in here, I just wanted to take a minute to thank all of you for giving me the opportunity to serve the Norwich School District for the next 2 years, hopefully longer, depending on how our partnership goes. I've certainly enjoyed my first 50 days so far in the district. My first day was July 2nd, because July 1st was actually on a Sunday. So it has been a pleasure just working with such an amazing and supportive leadership team here in the district, and it's the community members have also just been a pleasure. So I wanted to start off first by thanking you for having me here tonight. I would like to give the board an update on all that has been going on in the world of special education in the last 50 days. It's been a whirlwind, and I certainly couldn't have done it without the support of Dr. O'Malley, Mrs. Guzik, Mrs. Palmer, as well as Mrs. Gudgeon, Valerie Gudgeon, our technical expert. She's on contractually this year to support me through this process and our transition as we have withdrawn from the LASIK Cooperative. So I'm here tonight to provide you with an update on our first 50 days. So we will start with the structure of my plan. Really just serves to update the board as well as the community on all of the activities related to special education that have occurred in just 50 days here in the district. Our plan is outlined through action items, progress that has been made, as well as next steps. They will be outlined throughout my presentation this evening, and they will be tied directly to the comprehensive plan for special education services, as well as the intergovernmental agreement through LASIK. Action item number 1 is staffing. We know the students are here, where they've registered. They're coming to us. We have files and files and files of student records. We need to have staff here who are specially trained and certified to meet the needs of the unique population that we serve. Our first action on the list was to hire co-teaching LBS 1 positions. Those are learning behavior specialists. It's a specialized endorsement certification for special educators in the state of Illinois. I'm happy to report that all of those positions have been filled. However, the recruiting process really doesn't ever end. We look at hiring the best of the best, and the early bird gets the worm. So registering for those early winter job fairs and continuing to recruit through online databases will be the steps that I will be taking throughout the course of the year. We also hired 2 early childhood teachers, both also highly qualified. I will be charging them with joining a committee that we will be discussing later in the presentation this evening about researching a blended program option for our early childhood program for next school year. What a blended program does is provides a tuition-based element to our early childhood program. It also provides typical peers for our students with developmental delays or identified special needs so that they have role models for developmentally appropriate language, behavior, as well as academic skills and functional play. It's also an added benefit to the district in that it provides an income, so it supports itself essentially. We had several paraprofessional staff to hire. All positions have been filled, and as Dr. O'Malley mentioned earlier this evening, those are all being funded through our IDEA grant. Additionally, we had to hire all related service providers. And by related service providers, I'm talking about occupational therapists, speech therapists, social workers, school psychologists. All positions are filled except a .2 physical therapist position. I do have a lead on one. I'm trying to work with another district. We're currently contracting with Maxim Healthcare Services to secure that person prior to the start of the school year. In addition to the staff that we have hired on as Norwich School District 80 employees, we're also contracting with outside agencies. This is something that LASIK did as well, and what I have learned is that LASIK would contract with agencies. The agencies would then send the staff to us. We've essentially taken out the middleman. We are now working directly with these agencies to interview staff and have complete control over the quality of staff who are working with our children here within the school district. We have contracted with Dr. Maria Winiga, who is a BCBA, a board certified behavior analyst, to provide behavior consultation. She is also an autism expert and a full-time staff at the University of Chicago. She has signed a contract to work with us in the district for 12 full days. 8 of those days have been scheduled, with remaining days on reserve for IEP meetings, student challenges, evaluations that come up ongoingly throughout the year. She will not only be conducting observations of students in the classroom, but she will be training staff, working with parents, meeting with teams after school, and providing staff development. We've also solicited assistive technology support through Infinitech. They will not only provide us to unlimited online library of training materials. They will come and directly provide training of our staff here in-house, as well as provide 1 hour of parent training through the course of this contractual year. Next steps in that department are for us to determine topics for staff and parent training based on a needs assessment that will need to be conducted. We have secured certified health providers in each building. We contracted with Maxim Healthcare Services and have lovely full-time nursing staff in each building. You may have met some of them if you came through registration. They're lovely. We will continue to monitor building needs and train nurses related to special education procedures, because obviously there are several guidelines and laws that pertain to the procedures in that process. We secured a transportation contract with Rich Lee and 303 Taxi, and we will continue to work with them to provide updates on student needs as students transition into the district, transition into different programs, or change placements based on whatever their individual needs may be throughout the course of the year. More contracts. I said we've been busy. We have signed a contract with Dr. Marcello from Power Consultation to provide supervision and evaluation for our school psychologists and school social workers. We have contracted with CASE for our vision itinerant and hearing itinerant services, which we currently do not have any students who receive these services, by the way. However, if we were to have a student move in, for example, we would need to have an intergovernmental agreement with this organization to be able to provide that service that we're required by law to provide if and when a student were to require those services. And SACID for audiological services. If we have an early childhood student, for example, that comes in and we think may have a hearing loss, we would contract through SACID to provide that audiological exam. We are also, let's see here. We have also signed a contract with Brex Database Solutions for our online IEP system. A couple of days ago, it was just yesterday. Our first training was held for all new staff. Teachers received their caseloads yesterday as well in order to access student files through this online database system. Additional webinars have been scheduled, which will be free for staff the week of September 10th through the 14th through Embrace IEP. We have also contracted with Brex Database Solutions for Embrace DM, different than Embrace IEP, but same company, for our Medicaid vendor. Any students who are Medicaid eligible their parents can sign a waiver for the school district to receive a small portion of reimbursement for any health-related services that they receive while they're here in school. For example, occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, nursing services. So we have a system in place through Brex to log those minutes that students are seeing and apply for reimbursement through Medicaid for those services. We've also contracted with a mentor group for behavior management techniques. They trained for 8 hours today with all of our new staff and paraprofessional staff. Crisis prevention, de-escalation, intervention, and response. So say for an example, a student becomes dysregulated, is hurting himself, possibly falls to the floor, is hitting his head. The last thing we would want to do is further injure a student. Our main priority is to keep that student safe. So the mentor group came in today and provided us with training, and all other staff will receive a refresher in December later this year. So as you can see, it takes a village, right? So we've got our classroom teachers, our paraprofessionals, related services, lots of technical support. Many staff we hire in-house, many we contract out, just as our previous cooperative did. However, we do that and have much more, in a way that provides us with much more control over the process.